Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am your host, the most famous YouTuber in the world that no one has ever heard of. Alright, I promised you all a Model T transmission video. Here's the overview. Drawn by my friend Martin Vowell. Okay, we have the triple gears marked where the horseshoes are. Okay. Wasn't easy to find. I did. I used my magnifying glass and we got them. We're going to go over that first, but step one in this process is to put that on there. So we're going to make sure this surface is clean. We're going to throw that up. And we're going to bolt that on, and then we're going to build all of that on the engine just as it sits. So instead of having to pick up the entire transmission and flywheel, which is 50-60 pounds, I think, somewhere in there, and finagle that on there, and then things don't line up, you'll see as we go that putting it together separately and throwing it on is the wrong way to do it. First thing on the to-do list is to put the driven shaft on, and we're going to grab the flywheel and go right over it. Maybe. There we go. All right. Okay, next we're going to put our 4 bolts. Let's do a little upskirt action here. Let's see. We got one hole there. And we're going to turn it, but what I want to do, I'm going to, I swear it is never quiet here. Before I turn it, I'm going to spray all these bearings. I'm going to give them all a little bit of oil because it has been sitting for a while, and I want to make sure that that nothing's dry. Normally, if you're doing this and you just put the engine together, you wouldn't need to do this, but this has been sitting for a few years. Now I want to make sure that I don't do any harm. Giving you a good view. Nice and juicy in there. It's like somebody. Sounds like somebody's chewing gum. I'm not sure that came out in the camera or not. But that is the dead spot when you hit top dead center. That's right there. Okay, so the next step is to make sure that this is centered on the crankshaft. And we're going to do that in 2 places because that's where all the stuff, the drums ride down here, and then you have another bearing up here in your it is never ever quiet here, the backing plate for the clutch. God. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this, and hopefully that needle doesn't move much. Ugh. Okay, there. It's not good. Let's try it again. Let's go around again so we can get a positive number. So I don't have to do math. There is 10 thousandths run out. Okay, so we got to go 10,000. This shaft has to go 10 thousandths that way. So I'm going to back all my nuts off. Give it a whack and we'll try it again. If we can't resolve this with the hammer, it's going to go in the lathe. We got the bolts backed out. Let's see if that's any better. Hold still. Nope. Well, we got 2/1000ths out of it. All right, well, guess it's going in the lathe. For those of you wondering why Model T engine rebuilds are so expensive, this is why. You got to put them together and take them apart a dozen times before you get it right. Onto the lathe. It's going to be hard for me to get a shot of this, but basically what I want to do is I'm going to turn this edge down just a tiny bit. Alright, after we've got our run out resolved, we need to torque these down. I'm trying to do this around the tripod, so bear with me. Torque wrench. Before anybody puts in the comments, you're not supposed to use an extension, you can't get the torque wrench on these without one. We'll do that, and we'll turn it to the other side, and then we'll flip it again and do the other two. I don't know which side to stand on to film this for you. I really don't. You see those holes? That's for the wire. We're going to wire tie these. You can do them, these two and those two, or you can do all four. It doesn't really matter. Just want to make sure it doesn't break free later on, so the bolt doesn't come out. And cut the extra. It's like it's been used a couple of times. I did add the paddles, and I did years ago have it balanced. You can tell by these two holes. So this is a balanced flywheel with a used ring gear. Okay, so next we're going to assemble a little bit. Okay, so we're going to put some oil on it, but just for fitting purposes, you want these, okay, you want these to be a little bit loose. Okay, one of the things with Model Ts that the people that do modern vehicles don't understand or have trouble understanding is this is fit. This is good. Okay, that's not worn out. You want them loose because if you don't have them loose, they'll seize up. So I'm going to put a little oil on here. I'm going to slide it on, and we're going to do the next one. one. There's two. And there's three. A little extra oil never hurts. Alright. I'm going to put the keys back in. And this either gets pressed on or you tap it on if you're lucky. It might end up over in the press, but basically this goes on there. And I'm going to press it on. Just, I don't want to break the drum, so we'll press. Now the fun part. The fun part is where I have to take these and make them all equal distant to each other on the red mark. So for that, I'm going to use a ruler. So what we want is we want all of these to be the same distance. So we are at 3. You know what? Let's use the communist measurements. We are at 6. We are at 10, and we are at 10.5. So this one here, maybe. Move this one over. So let's see. We are at 10, 10, and 9.5. Well, that's no good. Okay, we are at 9 3/4, 9 3/4, 9 3/4. Okay, we got it. Okay, so that's where these three need to be. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie them on because it's a pain if you don't. A little bit of a waste of wire, but it resolves a headache. We'll see why in a second. Save that one. Let's give it a better twist. There they are. Okay. Maybe a little tighter. Okay. Now we're going to put a little oil on here. We're also going to put a little oil on all of this. And we're going to try, bear with me, there we go, we're going to try and put that on there. Let me oil it up. Somebody needs to invent a foot pedal for record and pause on these things. Because I have to stop and wash my hands every time I want to pause the video. Okay, now take this. Do one of these. We're going to hope it goes on. All right, it's on. To verify we got it keyed right, we do this because if we didn't have it keyed right, it would not move. Now, before we forget, we cover our wire, make sure all of it's there, because that would be unpleasant. And now we can move on to the clutch. This particular transmission I saved out. I had 3 shims in here. I saved them out. They go in there. I cleaned them up the best I could. They go in there like that. Now this engine is going to need a distributor on it. As you can tell, there's no magneto. And I did it because when I asked if anybody wanted to buy it, no one said yes. So rather than me spending money on something that's probably going to go back into storage because nobody wants it, I decided to just put it together with what I had. Okay, after that, we're going to put the key for this one in here. Alright, after you get this tapped on, you're going to put the little bolt back in here that holds it in place. Now what you need to do is you kind of lift up, you get a feel for it, and then you try to see if the bolt turns. There's a slot in that shaft, you saw that before. Looks like it might still be too high, I hope. If it isn't, we got to pull it up again. Oh, it might be there. No. Still going down. And there we go. I think we're on it. Yep, we're on it. Yeah, we're definitely on it now. Because I can almost do it with my fingers. We are getting there. Next, we install a transmission. We have outers, and for this particular engine, I have brand new inners. Now, the way this goes is there should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That one's dirty. 11, 12, 13. So there should be 13 of these. And they go in. This one doesn't get oiled. Doesn't need it. It will eventually, but doesn't need it for this. And there should be 12 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we are going to take our oil can and we are going to squirt oil there, drop an inner. We're going to squirt oil here. Make sure it's cleaned. We're going to drop an outer. We're going to oil it. Make sure they're clean before you put them in. inner. I cleaned these before, but apparently it got dusty in here. Outer. Then this ring goes on. But before we put the cover on, I forgot to do something. I swear that phone. Anyway, cotter pins in. Okay, so the next step in this is going to be this piece here. Now I've oiled the shaft. It's going to ride on this bushing right in there. And what we want to do is we want to get these 3 pins lined up with these 3 holes. And I have taken these adjusters, I've taken those out of these 3 holes. And if we did it right, one, you can look down the hole and see it, but you can also see that the ring is moving and this is down. So those are those are now lined up. Pretty sure I will put a light down there and make sure, but the next thing is to put these pins back in, screw them back in, and screw this whole ring down. We've got to find the holes. If I got it right, which I don't, nope, gotta be somewhere in there. There we go. Just going to snug them up so they touch, because we want them all even. Now I have a nut on a rope here. It's 13/16. What we're going to do is we're going to stick this down in here. I'm going to bring you down so you can see a little bit better. So we're going to put this right in there so that it fits snugly. And we're going to do that by moving each one of these 3 arms half, 1, half, 1, half, 1. What do you think? Is it going to fit? I think we got a ways to go. We're basically going to bring this up so that this gap right here, where my screwdriver is is 13/16. You just go around half a turn at a time. One turn was a little strenuous, so I'll go half so that the whole thing goes up even. Let's see how we're doing. Now you see why the string is there. We're almost there. Now this side's down just a hair. But over here it goes in. And do just a half a turn on this one. Tight. Kind of loose. I think I'm going to leave it there. So the next step is to reinstall the cotter pins on these 3 spots, one in each. Might have to do a slight adjustment to get it to go through. I like to stick them in all the same way. So if anybody has to replace or adjust this rather on the car, they will know if they changed it, because when I take them out after adjusting in the car, I'll put them back in the other way around. So if I missed one, it'll show up, stand out like a sore thumb. You are done. And the next step would be to find some bands, band linings and bands themselves, the pan, a hogshead, and the 4th main bearing. When this is assembled, and the reason I do it on the stand like this, because when this is assembled straight up like this, there's no droop that can cause misalignment between the crankshaft and the transmission shaft. If you do it like this, standing up, and when you put the pan on and you put that 4th main in, you pin the 4th main to the pan with it in this position. And when you lay it down, everything stays where you put it. But if you do it laying down, or like they used to do in the old days, they used to flip these upside down, just right like this on the bench. Transmission on there, throw the pan on and drive it off, and then snap, you break your crankshaft. And then the builder gets blamed, which is why I was not offering this with the transmission on it. Either I put it together 100% or you're on your own, no warranty. But yeah, that is the entirety of how to assemble a Model T transmission, with a couple of tips in there. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, throw me some love, and we'll see you in the next one.